Welcome to Riding the Trauma Train, or welcome back if we've shared this space before. I'm Lydia, your host and fellow passenger in this journey of self-healing, inner strength and personal growth. This podcast is a safe, judgment-free space dedicated to the realities of living with and healing from trauma. Through personal stories and in-depth conversations with special guests, including therapists, healers, practitioners, and fellow survivors, we look at what healing can truly look like in everyday life. We explore realistic healing journeys and share simple, sustainable practices and actionable tools to support your well-being along the way. So grab your ticket, take a seat, and remember you are not on this journey alone. Welcome to Riding the Trauma Train. Today, this episode, she will explain how her journey unfolded, how she found inner healing, and talk us through women's circles, cacao ceremonies, as well as releasing her amazing and beautiful single, Show Me. So grab your ticket, take a seat, and remember you are not on this journey alone. Welcome, Dee, to this episode of Riding the Trauma Train.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and inviting me. I'm so excited to be here, and everything that you're doing and putting out there is amazing.
Thank you. That's really, really sweet. So, Dee, tell me about your journey.
I might have to just take a breath for that one because it's so fulfilling. I often think about this when I'm asked this question or, preparing to speak about my journey. And, there's so many different interjects of where did it begin? I mean, obviously it began when I was born.
Yeah.
And now able to reflect back, I can see all the pieces that make my journey, and even the trauma, even the things that don't feel so good, what we would label negative experiences, how they've all shaped who I am right now. But I think on the theme of trauma, I spent so many years not acknowledging or recognizing that I'd actually experienced any kind of trauma. And it wasn't until I had a hypnotherapy session to lose weight, that the lady said, "Do you want to do a regression?" So I thought she meant like a past life thing, and I was going to start speaking a different language or, regressing back to some past life. That actually what came up was a regression in this life. And it took me back to when I was 4 and I was in hospital. So I went into hospital. I was there for 4 weeks back in the 80s. My mum wasn't allowed to stay with me. And so that acknowledgement that actually, you're obviously shaped in the first 7 years of your life, you form your beliefs about the world. And, so I didn't realize that actually that was trauma because I've always been loved. I've always felt loved. And to say, that I was rejected by my parents seems like really quite harsh because I wasn't. But that experience formed that belief within me that I was abandoned. So that was probably the start of me recognizing that I'd experienced trauma. And then kind of unpicking the things that had happened before that, the reason why I ended up in hospital. And then after, it's like, really acknowledging that was probably quite awful as a child. Typically, I thought, well, you've only experienced trauma if you've been abused or you've been to war. Those were the kind of things that I, associated with trauma. So, so that was kind of like the first acknowledgement, let's say, of that. So,
I get that, because if you think about it in child terms, an hour feels like a week. So being in hospital where your parents couldn't stay, that's 4 weeks. That is a long time. That is a really long time to constantly feel like you don't have that attachment with you. So I can understand how that is a trauma. Trauma is so many different things, but you are right. People automatically think PTSD or complex PTSD, and they put a specific label on it, I suppose. Whereas what you experienced was still traumatic. And still has had an effect on you. So after you had that therapy or that regression, what kind of then started to unfold for you?
So I think, I mean, it was beautiful. It was an inner child sort of healing that we went through in that session. In fact, it gets me emotional thinking about it now.
I feel really,
Do
yeah,
to really like meet that 4-year-old version of myself in that space and go back who I was then. This is about 10, probably 10, 11 years ago, but going back like and just being there for her. And I hugged her. That's basically what happened. You know, I gave her a hug and said the things that she probably needed to hear at that point, and you know, and it kind of that was beautiful. But then after that, nothing really happened. You know, initially, I don't think I had any more sessions of hypnotherapy. I didn't. I don't think I lost any weight, which was the intention. But another thing is sometimes you think you go for something or you do something that you think you need, but then actually you get what you really need. You know, and I think that's another big lesson that I've learned. Anyway, a bit of a side note. So yeah, what happened after what happened after that? Then I just kept experiencing more trauma, but I was aware that, and I could acknowledge that it was trauma that was going on, you know, without attaching
yeah.
too much to it. So yeah, did all the things. I started meditating, did a mindfulness course, and it's all those little breadcrumbs that I just kept following, you know, and I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time. You just do what you do,
Mm.
and they formed a foundation for me to ultimately, I mean, I don't really like to label it, but if you want to call it like a spiritual awakening, like I woke up and learned how to be a meditation teacher. I went meditating in Salisbury actually with the Buddhist monks, used to come up and I'd do meditation there.
Yes, I did see that recently. They had another one. I think it was in the summer, but I couldn't get to it. But yeah, no, I've heard that it's meant to be amazing.
It was just so profound. You just sit and listen and it's like everything just makes sense when you're listening to
Mhm.
them. It's beautiful. So yeah, so I've kind of done all the things. And actually when I was doing my meditation course, we did a meditation called what was it called? Re-imprinting. And that was the same as the hypnosis that I did. So I learned how to do the thing that helped me in the first place, you know? Yeah.
That's a full circle moment right there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, really was.
So where do these breadcrumbs lead you? And I know you said you didn't want to put like a label on it, the spiritual awakening. We obviously met at a singing group, Coffee Cake and Choir. I remember walking in and I'd been from a pre-holiday waxing. I thought I need to go and get something to eat because obviously sugar levels go a bit low then, don't they? And I remember being in Boston Tea Party, eating my breakfast, and this amazing sound coming from the middle section, and I just thought, oh, okay, that sounds good. And I went downstairs, and obviously the toilets were in the middle. Had a wee. Okay, they're still singing. All right, what's going on? What's going on? And I remember walking in going, I'm sorry, who are you? And how can I be part of it? And you were amazing. You came up and you give me a hug, and such a hugger. COVID nearly killed me because of that. So yeah, and I just felt a connection to you straight away. And I know that was what, September 2023, I think it was. But since then, I have seen your journey kind of literally snowball. We've gone from, I feel this, I feel that, to this absolutely amazing being and presence and female empowerment. Like, even I think it was one session we went and it was about the rose, the Mary Magdala, and all these things were, I'd just been for a tattoo, got the tattoo of
That's
the rose on
right.
my hip.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going off on a waffle, but I've seen all these breadcrumbs come together and you've made basically a harvest. So tell me about what was after all these meditation kind of courses you did, what was your next step? What did you feel like you had to move forward and do, I suppose?
Well, I mean, I thought when I used to have my own nail and beauty salon, and I'd been doing a bit of coaching with my PT and, you know, like mindset coaching. And I was like, and I ended up doing it with my clients, and I thought, hang on a minute. It was about money. And I was like, hang on a minute. I could be earning like 70, £100 an hour by doing this. I'm going to leave and, and do that. So I started to try and break free from that. And it was, it was really difficult and caused another, that was another dark night of the soul, and, all the things happened there. But so hang on a minute. I've lost my train of thought now. I do that. I go back too far and then I'm like, what am I talking about? This is what happens when you meditate. They say it makes you all clear and like concise, but yeah, so I thought, I'll break free, I'll be a coach, do all the things. And then I ended up, that just didn't work out for me. It was just like, no, I couldn't get along with the tech, I couldn't do the marketing, and, it was just too difficult. But I ended up ultimately going on a goddess retreat to Glastonbury, and I had no idea what the goddess was. And I just thought, I want to learn more about this. So a lady that was on the retreat recommended a book, and I started reading it, and I was just like, wow, it was like, I've never read anything that, logically I can understand it, but this spoke to my heart or my soul. It was so beautiful, the words that were coming through the book. I thought, I'll look into this lady a bit more. And I found that she was opening a moon temple online. So it was not a logical course, it was like activations. So I kind of went into that, and I'd already been doing cacao ceremonies. So it kind of, and then it just made me realize that stepping out of the coaching world and, that really productive like hustle and, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It really put me into that flow and that divine feminine energy. So yeah, that kind of, so it was almost like I'd had an awakening and woken up to, well, I don't really know what I woke up to, but then another awakening, which was like awakening to the goddess. So a goddess awakening, for want of a, better explanation. So yeah, so that, and the goddess, like divine feminine energy, it's all about the creativity. It's about the, singing, the joy, the dancing. So that's kind of where like the singing element sort of came in. I've always wanted to sing. And then obviously, the writing of the song as well, that came from me just connecting to me, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all those lovely things that we don't have time for when we're working.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. Right. You said before you went to this festival, you were already doing cacao ceremonies. Now, I particularly remember you putting a story up on your Instagram where you were in your little camper van and you were next to the beach, and
Yeah.
it was the most beautiful, beautiful vision. I just thought it just seems so simple and so grounded. Tell me about cacao. Now, I have been to one of your or a couple of your cacao ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for the faint-hearted, is it really? It's not quite, it's not your Cadbury's or your Galaxy, put it that way, but it is incredible. So tell me about cacao, and one, how did you get into it? And two, about your cacao ceremonies.
I did a lot of stuff online when I was like doing the coaching stuff and a few podcasts and things like that, and just found deep acceptance that it's, it's okay. Like whatever you say, everything's just as it's meant to be. So yeah, I'll just remember that for myself. So after we came out of lockdown, I'd done my meditation course. I did a retreat with a friend, really good friend of mine, Lynn, and it was the first one that I'd ever done, and it was a meditation retreat. And she said, "Oh, I've got a guy that will come, and he'll do it's like a ceremony, like with chocolate." And I'd never heard of it at this point, and I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it. It's right up your street." So she said, "We
Chocolate.
can do that for dessert." So I was like, "Right, okay." So this guy turned up with like really rustic, like with a gnarled old stick and cups and this cacao stuff. And I was like, what is this? And because obviously you've heard of cocoa,
Yeah.
but it is the like sort of original form of that, So we did this cacao ceremony, and I was like, this is amazing. This is life. So we did a journey. So it's a shamanic journey where you lie down. We drank the cacao, and then we did this journey, and he guided us. And I just loved it. And I think because of the lockdown, we'd all just come back together.
Mm.
And it was the first time that we'd actually been really, I think it was the day after we'd actually come out of lockdown, but we'd prepped it all before. And we stood together around this fire, and the I can't even tell you the connection. Obviously, we'd had the cacao. We just came together, and we just like were able to hug. And so I think it's powerful without that, but with obviously the experience of COVID, lockdown, it was just so powerful.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to. He had a teepee, and I love all things that are alternative and, different and a bit out there. And he had a teepee at Berwick, is it not Berwick St James? Somewhere over Somerset Way. And I thought I really want to go. So I started going to his cacao ceremonies. And then someone said, "Oh, I can really see you doing that." So I thought, well, yeah, why not? Did a little course and just kind of found my way into it that way. But the experience that I had when I first went to one of his ceremonies was it just came to me in the meditation, and it was write the songs and sing them. And it was like something that I'd buried so deep for so long or didn't have access to. And the cacao just helped me almost shut the noise out and just really connect to my heart and listen to what that wanted, what that was.
Yeah.
So I just kind of have followed that since then. But in terms of cacao, what it is, so it's basically I use in ceremonial cacao. So it's 100% Criollo cacao. So it's the purest form of the cacao before it's like we get the version which has got sugar and
Yeah.
milk and everything added to it and everything else that they add to it these days. So this is the purest form. So it is very bitter. That's, and it's quite unusual to the palate, let's say. And so a lot of
Yeah.
people are
It's an
like,
acquired taste.
yeah, definitely.
But I think, though, what it does to you spiritually and inwardly, the taste kind of goes away. I don't know how to describe that. One, I
Yeah.
do know you put some really nice natural stuff in. Is it a little bit of prune juice you put in, or am I
Sometimes
making that up?
not prune juice, but
That's not
sometimes
going to be good for a line down, is it?
you can put whatever you want in it. There's no right or wrong, but usually I would put either coconut sugar, something natural, um, coconut sugar, date syrup. It might have been, so that
That
might
was
be,
it. Date syrup.
yeah,
Prune dates, aren't they the same thing?
just to sweeten it up, a bit. We all need a bit of sweetness in this life, don't we? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
quite bitter,
Absolutely.
which is an
Nice.
analogy with the cacao.
Yeah, I love
Life
that.
can be bitter. And just sitting with that and invoking that into your heart and being mindful. And yeah, it is really beautiful, and it is a medicine. So it is from the plant kingdom, so it is a plant medicine. It's a very
Yeah.
subtle, beautiful plant medicine, but it's working with it and really honoring it rather
Yeah.
than rushing around and, oh, drink my coffee in the morning and I've got to be here, I've got to be there. And, it's like keeping that sacredness of the moment,
Yeah.
So it's really, grounding in that way. And, and it does, like on a physical level, it does allow more blood flow through your body and your heart. My mum
Okay.
actually discovered it the other week. Well, she's had a heart problem.
Oh, bless.
She was going in for a procedure, and I'd sent her a video about cacao from, I think it was Stephen Bartlett, a podcast that he'd done with somebody about dark chocolate
Okay.
and the benefits. And she went, "I've bought some of that chocolate." And I was like, "I've sent you one podcast. I've been banging on about this stuff for 5 years. And you listen to a podcast." And she's like, and she went, "It cured me." Because when she went in for her operation, they said, "Oh, we didn't need to do that." It was like to have a stent. They said, "We didn't need to do that in the end." She went, "No, it's because I had that chocolate."
Go on, Mummy Dean. That's
I know.
hilarious.
So she's funny. So yeah, so that's the cacao. Um, in the traditions, the indigenous tribes in Peru and Guatemala where they use it, and it's the women that prepare it. So it is a very feminine energy. The women will prepare it, then, put it through the process to remove the liquor from the cacao butter, and and it's about communities coming together. So, it is very powerful in that way, because I think we've lost
Yeah,
that, haven't we?
100%.
It's coming
We
back,
I
but, you know.
It is, but it's slow, and I think we've lost so much connection, I think, and with to be honest, with all I'm gonna say, with all the bad shit that has happening in this world, you soak in all that negativity, don't you? So you do kind of push yourself away from it. And when you push yourself away from it, you disconnect. And I know in the last few weeks for me, with being triggered by my childhood trauma, I have majorly disconnected. I know that one, I know that I need to have a cacao ceremony because like feel that I need something,
Mhm.
and when I speak to other women that have had some kind of trauma or some kind of, oh, I don't know, so I want to say damage, but that's damage isn't the word. I mean, it's some kind of, oh, I can't think of the word. It'll come to me in a minute.
Wounding.
Yeah, like, oh, that's going to annoy me. Anyway,
It'll come.
yeah, it'll come there somewhere. But when you've had that, and when you're broken, like we could be broken in so many different ways. You may not have even needed it to have gone through some kind of trauma. Like you said, we're in a hustle culture. We are right. You need to get up. You need to go to work. You need to sort the kids out. You need to clean this. You need to clean that. Every single night, there's some other kid thing on. Oh, and
Mm,
don't forget, you've also got to eat well, go to the gym, do your course, make sure your mind is so much. It's
mhm.
so much. So when you've got things like a women's circle where we can come together, and do you know what? We don't need to do this. You don't need to go, oh, this is shit. You literally just come together, and you don't even need to talk, do you? It's beautiful. And I remember the first time I came to one of your women's circles and the cacao ceremony. Right, before I go on, is a women's circle and a cacao ceremony the same thing? Or have I mixed
Um,
that up?
yes and
Or is it a bit of
no.
both?
Yeah, I mean, so a cacao ceremony usually, it's like an age-old tradition that people come together in circle.
Okay.
It's almost like there's a circle, which obviously is a circle for a reason. So there's a
Mhm.
completeness, and there is no hierarchy in that either. So we're all
Okay.
part of the circle, and it's been thousands of years it's been going on. And so the cacao ceremony is just a different, not like a different theme, a different intention. So it's all
Yeah.
about intention. So a women's circle, I could host one, you could host one, and they'll all have a different theme and intention, because
Yeah.
it'll be the energy from the person that's organizing it, but not in charge. Yeah, obviously you create the container of it, and then
Yeah.
it's the circle that does the magic. It's the women that are in that space. Not all women. I mean, it can be mixed. It just so happens that
Yeah.
that women's circles are probably more prominent, just because women in general have done that for
Bit
thousands of
more
years.
intuitive, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I also find so I've obviously blah, 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 start get my words out. I've obviously been on the in a cacao ceremony women's circle, and I when the roses pass round and you can decide whether to speak or not speak. Obviously, I'm a speaker, as we know, hence why I'm doing the podcast. But I I would feel I don't think I would feel as comfortable if there was a man there. And
Mm,
the only reason I know that is because I did a sound bath Reiki with Lily a couple of weeks ago, and she was singing over me. And as she was singing, she went, "I just couldn't connect with you. There was something," and it was because there was a man in there.
okay.
And I didn't realize that until I left. I couldn't relax.
Mhm.
And so I think it would be the same thing with a cacao ceremony. I think I wouldn't be able to kind of switch off my demons, as it were, or my fight or flight
Yeah,
to be able to relax enough to
absolutely.
experience it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think mix is amazing, and if
Mhm.
you're somebody that a lot of women can do that, but personally for me, I couldn't. And I found the same last couple of weeks ago. I did brave fish yoga, well, yin yoga, but the lady's
Yes.
Claire,
Yeah.
and I felt the same thing. Like I walked into this space which was beautiful, and then I was like, "Oh, there's a man there. There's a man," and literally, I felt it in my stomach.
Mhm.
but what the way she's laid the rooms out, I was able to go into a different room, so that was fine. Sorry, I'm literally digressing, but that back to the point of,
Mhm.
I think, divine femininity and that whole the word sacred, I think, holds so much space for me when I'm with that circle of women,
Mhm.
that I think it can just be a little bit skewed if there is a masculine or a male presence there, because we've all got masculine
Yeah.
within us. But I think for me, that would be, yeah, it
Mm.
just skews how I can relax, I think.
Mm.
Which I'm sure there's probably a lot of listeners that feel the same way, and vice versa. There could be women that don't experience that. So, sorry,
Mhm.
literally digressing. Blah, blah, blah. I think that's going to have to be my podcast thing. But like, come back to the center.
Well, that's
Okay.
what we do.
So yeah, you're the with the cacao ceremony, you come in, you you have blessed or you have gone through a ritual with that cacao, and then you go on a journey together. Is that right?
Mhm.
I know I've had one, but just I don't want to get confused and
Yeah,
tell
no.
listeners the wrong thing.
No, that's fine. I mean, yeah, so I'll prepare the cacao. And again, it's all about intention and infusing it with love. And, it takes me probably, well, in fact, if I was doing a ceremony on a Sunday evening, is what I was doing, I'd start getting into the preparation for it from maybe like the Friday, Saturday, like
Wow.
intentionally, as much as you can with life going on around you, but just being aware that you're going into that space with and holding that space for people, and just being really intentional and just keep, meditate and spend some time in nature and just really, set the scene for what you want to take it into the space. And I think energetically, I mean, I- I'm pretty sure that I connect into like the people that I'm holding the space for. Because
Hmm.
so many times I've noticed I've thought of something or something's happened within my psyche, let's say, and then I'll get a text message of somebody. Like I might sort of come up with something that I'm going to bring into the space, like a song or
Hmm.
I might decide on what the intention is or whatever it is. And not long after someone will message and say, I can't come. And that's where, it's like, oh, that's interesting because
Yeah.
previously I would have thought it was, I feel rejected. Like, why don't they want to come? What have I done? Very much blaming myself. But
Yeah.
actually it's like, oh, that's interesting because I've just, I don't know, thought of a song that I wanted to come in or the intentions come through and they've maybe picked up on that and been like, no, this isn't the space
Well,
for
it's
me
not
at
for
this
me.
time,
Yeah.
you know? So it's
Yeah.
really fascinating watching that as well. But on the actual day, I'm not one to prepare. I don't prepare, but I just like to have a guideline. So it's like the masculine energy is having the structure. So it's like a river. I love this analogy. So you've got the river bank, which is the masculine that holds the water and holds the feminine that just flows through it. So I love that. So you're creating that space
Yeah.
and then the feminine just flows through it. Um,
I love that.
so yeah, so it's quite intentional and it's quite a big sort of a long process leading up to it. But yeah, so we basically will have drink the cacao. I'll probably start with a grounding meditation, drink the cacao, and then we pass the cacao round the circle, all just very mindful. And then we might do a share and just share whatever is coming up for anyone or where they're at, what they need to release, and just be one of the powerful things is that I love about it, which is something that I've needed in my life, is to be fully heard and fully seen in whatever you're going through without any interruption, without being trying to fix, without someone trying to give you advice, try and fix it, try and change it. Because in doing that, for me especially, it triggers that not good enough, So it's like, oh, if you do this, and it's like, especially if I've tried that thing, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not good enough again. So
Excuse me.
it can actually be quite triggering. So that space, I'm not saying that it's not helpful always, but in that space, it's just beautiful to just be fully heard and fully seen in whatever and held in that space. So that's been one of the big part of my healing, is to be seen.
I absolutely love that. And do you know what? I think for a lot of people that have gone through trauma, the not being heard is literally a major part of it. And
Yeah.
sometimes it isn't what happened, it's what wasn't done or wasn't listened to after that
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
So that is a really poignant, I think, part of your cacao ceremony. I'm sure
Mhm.
there's lots of other people in the world that do them, but obviously you're my Dee, and I know that I've been to yours. But I
Mm.
think a safe space, a space where you don't need to talk if you don't want to, but like you say, just really, really being heard. And I
Mm.
absolutely love that. I just want to touch on the fact that you then said something. We're going off from cacao now, just so you know.
Okay.
You said about you felt that you needed to be in nature. Now, obviously, um, I've followed you on Instagram for a long time, and we've been friends for a long time. So, one, I do need to know what's your Instagram so people can follow you, because that would be good. Is it at Dee Jodel or dot
Yeah.
Jodel?
It's at Dee Jodel, all one word. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So, and you've got all your divine goddess cacao ceremonies and everything on there. But I particularly love when you do come on and you put up all your nature walks and your stories and things like that. But that's where I want to hit on show me, because from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, it was walking through the woods that kind of, when it came to you, this particular song.
Yeah, I think that it's the stillness, isn't it? When you go out in nature, if you can just, yeah, you connect into nature, but also connecting to yourself. So
Mhm.
it just gives you that space, doesn't it? So yeah, I think the chorus came to me as a chant because I was trying to create chant. So I was doing a lot of chanting. That's been another amazing um, you know, part of healing. But so because they're short, they're just like choruses. So they're easy to remember.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't remember the exact moment, but it was just, I just was walking along. It was like, show me the way. I just felt lost. Because even that, I'm just reading a book at the moment, actually. It's really good. It's called After the Ecstasy, The Laundry.
Okay.
And it's basically like how when you first wake up and you get this new lease of life and this energy and like this ecstasy and bliss, and you feel those things that you've not felt for so long, that you can kind of, it's almost like thinking, this is going to be it now forever. So I've been through quite a lot of periods where I've just been like in this blissful state and then felt like, but what's my purpose on? Like, what am I meant to be doing? So I was walking along and obviously it was just, show me the way. And, so I was chanting that for ages. And then months later, I was just getting ready for work. It's always when I'm going somewhere, I don't really have
Yeah.
the time to sit and write. And the rest of it just like came to me. And I was like it just literally just landed in, and I was like, quick, write it down. So,
Yeah.
and I didn't link it with Show Me, but then I was like, that Show Me fits with this song. That's the chorus. so,
Amazing.
so yeah. So I think, like you say, just being connected, you don't have any other stimulus when you're in nature apart from, nature and your own mind, but it does help to quieten that down. So yeah, thank you for remembering that.
Oh, no, I love it. And I mean, you inspired me at the time. I kind of, no, I suppose I did. I wrote a little song for my girls so that when I put them to bed, it's a song that they know that's from mummy. And yeah, so that you particularly that bit. But apparently, when I was singing it, my eldest went, "Mummy, that sounds so much like Show Me." I went, "Maybe I've stolen a tune." But it was so funny. But it's called Oh Dear Daughter, and it was just about not being on their own and stuff. So, but I know what you mean about being in nature and connecting with yourself, because when I am outside and when I've done a lot of my riding the trauma train. I say reels, but like all the videos with
Yeah.
all the words and stuff. They are all generally when I'm out in nature, I'm walking along a path. I see something. Yesterday, I saw this beautiful red leafed tree with these bright red berries on. But when I'm at that, I connect with myself and I write poetry. Now, it may not be related to trauma. It may be how I'm feeling in the moment, but another release. It's another way of getting that blockage, I suppose, out.
Mm,
And if it's down on paper, and like your song, like that is going to resonate with so many people because so many of us feel lost on a path. And yeah, it's been because of the trauma, or maybe it's because we don't know how to get past it. But that's the whole point of healing, isn't it? It's the whole point of connecting with yourself and finding a way to kind of come back to you. I think that is the whole point. I think. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm definitely a waffler, aren't I? Good
Yeah, but
job I'm doing a
waffling
podcast.
waffling's great. I love waffling. I remember doing stuff online years ago, and I was like, "Oh, I'm waffling," and like making excuse, sort of apologizing for myself, waffling. And this girl just put, "What's wrong with waffling?" And I'll never forget that. And I was like,
Yeah,
"No, actually, it's because we've been so conditioned to be concise and and perfect and
yes.
pristine, and
Stop and
everything's
stop.
got to be this certain way, and rigid, and it
Yeah,
really flows into what you're saying about expressing. So we're expressing who we are, aren't we, in that?
yeah,
And that is, I mean, it's just beautiful to be able to hold space for that in yourself, but then do it, and then other people, then it gives them permission to do it as well.
yeah,
That it's just we're just expressing whatever, expressing our wounds, our heal. We're just us expressing ourselves. You know?
yeah, and that it may not always be happy. Like
No.
it may not like tears, anger, fear, like all these things are inside us coming out. Now
Yeah.
you made me have a little thought back to so my littlest, she's 7, and she at the moment she's going through this phase with anger, and she basically doesn't know how. She said something's wrong in her head, so she said she doesn't know how to express it. So randomly, I was having like a mini podcast thing, and she came into the studio and she went, "Oh, mummy, can I do one?" So, step a little side note, mummy and me. Was it mummy me or my mini me? Whatever it was, I
Mm.
set it up. She got in front of this microphone and she was like, "So I just want to talk about my angeriness and I blow bubbles. And when I blow bubble," and I just thought, oh my gosh, I've found it's a modern way, but I found a way that she can now express her feelings and her emotions. So we're keeping this little sideline podcast just for her. Um,
Mm.
and do you know, I just thought if I can do that with her now, when she gets to like my age, she'll be able to just free flow those thoughts and feelings rather than us growing up in an age where actually you don't talk about your feelings, you don't
Mm.
cry, you don't get angry, you sit there and you shut up.
Mhm.
It's yeah, it's a surreal world now. We're kind coming full circle. Circle.
Yes, it's all about the circles and the spirals as
Mhm.
well. But that's
Yes,
beautiful. I mean, it's such
up
a
and down.
it's such an honor and a privilege. Like, it feels to be able to watch people do that with their children. I didn't have that for myself, and I
Hmm.
didn't have that to be able to hold that space for my son in whatever, because of the times and things like that. So, it just warms my heart when people, mums, amazing mums, and I was an amazing mum, but different, to be
Hmm.
able to know so much more and have so much more awareness, to be able to allow that in the younger generations, and it's
Yeah.
just beautiful. Yeah,
It's
I love it.
sorry. I think so there's a lady who I've randomly just come across. Her name is Bella International Limited, and she has got a song out called I Am the Phoenix. Yesterday I did a video reel and I've put that song on, and it starts off with generational trauma. Now obviously this is a new concept, isn't it? In I said, well, it's not a new concept, it's been going on for thousands of years, but
Yeah,
we're just being made aware that generational trauma is a thing.
yeah.
Now, I'm holding that space because I do not want to pass anything
Mm,
that I have been through. Obviously, they won't ever go through what I went through physically, but mentally, I don't want to pass on
mm,
anything that is negative or anything like if they're angry, tell me they're angry. If they're upset, tell me they're upset. I also know that in my heart of hearts, in the last 18 months, because of the triggers I've had from my childhood, I have been angry. Now, I may not have been voicing it, but it's been in my gut. It has
Mm,
been deep buried within my stomach. So
mm,
I think my youngest is very intuitive and she's clearly picking up on that. So yeah, the more I can help her
mhm,
be at one with herself and connect with her emotions, the
mm.
better it'll be for the future and all of us really, because she does get quite angry.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's a journey, isn't it? To awaken all those different emotions and acknowledge them and sit with them and hold them. One of the most powerful meditations that I did when I was doing my teacher training was emotional intelligence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was, just so you spend like the meditation feeling your feelings
Wow.
and just being with it and knowing that it's not you, because especially like labels are great because it can be empowering, it can help you to make sense and it's self-awareness, but just to be like, okay, I've got this sensation in my body which is anxiety or it's angry. And once you're so and this is the it's like the nipping it in the bud, isn't it? It's like going,
Yeah.
I can feel anger, and where it resides in your body generally, and you can be like,
Mhm.
and then you can express that, without getting to the point where you're just like,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
even that's okay, but like, oh, I'm feeling really angry, and just taking ownership of that rather than going, you're making me feel angry. It's like, I'm
Yeah.
feeling some anger here, what is that, and feeling into it. Yeah, that was something that I'd never been taught,
Yeah, I get
it
that.
was just humor.
Yeah, literally, that's what you kind of come up with, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's, it is a strange feeling to acknowledge each of your emotions. It is really, oh, I don't know. It's a new culture, isn't it? It was something that we couldn't do like
No.
back in the day, like
Yeah.
even in like the 90s and the noughties. Like I think from this onwards, there's been a flip in emotions and a flip in expression.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I find it absolutely fascinating. There is anything that you could do to like a little breath work or a little meditation or something that you can do for my listeners so that they can be a bit more grounded.
Mhm.
And obviously I will put in the show notes all your links, any of the books that you've recommended on here as well, because I think there was two, one for meditation and the last one,
Mhm.
and obviously links to your Instagram and stuff. But I would really appreciate it if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of a something.
Yeah, sure.
Would
I
that be
can
okay?
do I can just do like a what, 5 minute like meditation?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That'd be lovely.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm
if
gonna pin you though first so that you don't have my face, so we can all be about you. Right, 2 seconds. There you go.
Fabulous. Thank you. Okay, so when you're meditating, if you just take a usually sit in a seated position upright, because this is about waking up rather than going to sleep and relaxing. You might feel relaxed, but just taking that time with your feet, maybe if you're on a chair with your feet planted firmly on the ground, and then just resting your arms on your lap with your hands facing up or down, whichever feels comfortable, but having your spine straight and your chin sort of parallel to the floor so that your head, you've just got a straight line down your back. And then an invitation then to close down your eyes if that feels good. And it's only just going to be a few minutes. So if you've been busy listening to this podcast, you might have been busying around in the kitchen or out on a walk or driving. Obviously, if you're driving, it's not ideal to close your eyes, but maybe you can save this and come back and listen to it later. And just give yourself some time for you to come back to the moment, this moment. So just taking a nice inhale in through the nose, all the way down into your belly, and then exhale out of your mouth, breathing in through the nose, all the way down as far as you can into your belly, expanding your lungs, and then exhaling out of your mouth, and just feeling your shoulders drop as you exhale. And one more time, breathing in through the nose, and maybe a big sigh, just letting go of the day, of everything that you've been thinking about, anything that you've been worrying about, stressing about, and just arrive in this moment. There's nothing that you need to do. There's nowhere that you need to be. And even if the mind is busy, if it's wandering, if it's still hurrying around, just notice the mind. Notice the thoughts without any judgment, just awareness. Maybe it's useful to imagine the clouds in the sky as the thoughts floating around. Sometimes they're light and fluffy, but sometimes they're dark and gloomy. But not labeling either as good or bad, just allowing them to be and just letting them float past. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Nice, easy breathing. Just remembering that you can always come back to the breath at any time. If your mind's busy, if something's going on, always having that anchor of the breath back to the present moment, to the here and now. Because in this moment, this is the only moment that exists, this moment right now. If we take ourselves into the future and the stories, the things that might never even happen, that can cause us anxiety and stress. If you come back to the now, right here with the breath, anchoring and grounding into the moment and be here now. And likewise, we can go off into the past, thinking about memories, traumas, experiences, just allowing them to be experiences of life. As you breathe in and breathe out and bring yourself back to this moment. Because in this moment, everything is exactly as it's meant to be. So bringing your awareness back to the weight of your body, whatever you're sitting on, bringing gentle movement to your fingers and your toes, and then fluttering open your eyes when you're ready.
Wow. I literally got these tears coming down here.
Oh,
That was beautiful. And I know that anybody listening will be able to just take 5 minutes and I'll try and get that into like a little snippet. So if they want to, they can just have that little bit and then
yeah.
if they ever need it, they can come back to it.
Mhm.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I don't know why I started crying, but okay. So I am going to take this opportunity to close down. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I appreciate everything that you've said and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have been here. I mean, yeah, it's held space for me. Stuff's going on for me at the moment, and it's just, showing up for yourself. That's a big lesson that I'm learning. So thank you so much for holding space for me and letting me share whatever came out.
Amazing. Well, I'll find out once I listen back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, my lovely. Right. Well,
All
take
right.
care.
Thank
And
you.
thank you all for listening to Riding the Trauma Train. I'll put Dee's Instagram pages and the song, etc., in the bottom. If you've liked this episode, then can you do the like, subscribe, and share thing? I'm not very good at this, as we all know. But I will ask you at the end of every episode. And if any of this resonated with you, stick a comment in the box. Or if there's something that you want to take from it or you want me to talk about in the future, then you can get me over on Instagram at Riding the Trauma Train, or you can drop me an email, ridingthetraumatrainpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you all and take care. Thank you so much for joining me today on Riding the Trauma Train. I'm Lydia and I feel privileged to share this space with you. No matter where you are on this train right now, whether it's in survival mode, slowly finding your feet in recovery, or maybe it's somewhere in between, remember you are not alone in what you're feeling and you do not have to travel this journey by yourself. So if you'd like to continue traveling together, please follow Riding the Trauma Train wherever you're listening so you can join us at the next stop. Until next time, take care.